BMAC podcast take one.
Like as in start talking with the podcast or still check? Okay. Okay, welcome to episode 3 of Hanging with BMAC. Couple of things that are different with this podcast than the previous two is, number one, we're on camera, and I haven't yet decided if I like it better or not. Cameras, hello. Second thing that is different is the previous two podcasts that I've done with students is I've known the student. This is my first real interaction with the guest today, and so I'm excited to see how that goes as well. But I'm going to let her introduce herself. Just tell us your name, where you go to school, what year you are in school, what program you're in here at the Catalyst.
Yeah, so my name's Elise Wild, and I am a senior at Farmington High School, and at Catalyst, I do digital audio.
Digital audio, okay. Is this your first semester at
This is
Catalyst?
my second.
In the same program?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, have you heard any of the other two podcasts that I've done?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so you have no idea what
Yeah,
this is
walking into this blind.
Okay. Well, it's going to be a great experience for both of us. You're really going to enjoy this, I promise
Perfect.
you. Okay. The thing I'm most concerned about is they say that the camera adds 20 pounds, and I cannot afford to have an extra 20. And so I will see how this looks when it's done. And this may be the only time we do this on camera, depending on how good you are at editing video. So let's talk about a couple of things that I think people will find interesting and about you, because this really is to hear about you and your life as a student, because the tagline is Hanging with BMAC, real students, real stories. And so just want you to be open and discuss, and we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Perfect, you got it.
The first thing is think of your favorite teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so this can go all the way back to kindergarten.
Okay.
And think about that teacher, and if you want to say names, that's fine. If you don't want to say names, that's fine. What is it about them that makes them your favorite teacher?
Yeah, so going back to like junior high, I had this math teacher in 8th grade, and in junior high, I had some really bad migraines, and so I was like not going to school very often. I was maybe going once a week or so, and then I was doing some classes online just because it was, I couldn't go because of the migraines. And I had a lot of teachers who would get very frustrated with that and weren't super willing to help me catch up and they didn't work with me. But this math teacher was so awesome, and he never treated me differently, and he always, when I would get behind and when I didn't understand the material that I had missed, he was so good at just helping me catch up and helping me feel like I wasn't any less smart for not being there. And so I just think I still think about him a lot, and about how we all have setbacks with school sometimes, but that he was so willing to still help me learn despite that. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever told him or her
I haven't.
how much you appreciate it?
I kind of wish that I had.
Okay.
I don't even know if he's still at the school that I went to, but I wish that I had, because he did such a good job at not making me feel different. So.
Well, as a teacher, I want you to find this person and let them know what you just shared with me.
Absolutely.
Because it will make them feel really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, not to get negative,
Mm-hmm.
and this one I don't want you to say a name for sure.
You got it.
Think back to a teacher that you did not enjoy.
Yeah.
And why? Why did you not enjoy the teacher?
Yeah, this is also a math teacher, because I feel like math has just been one of those subjects that it's very hit or miss for me. But I had this math teacher, and This one was not during a time that I like had migraines and I wasn't able to go to school. It was more so just on me. I like got myself kind of behind, which I think we all do sometimes, or at least I like to say that to justify it. And so it got to the end of like the term, and I was trying really hard to like catch up, and I ended up getting a math tutor, and I just was like trying really hard to catch up, and she just was not willing to help me. And so it was kind of, I saw the very big contrast between like a teacher that was very willing to help me learn and then one that I would try to retake tests, or I would try to come in and turn things in, and I would like get accused of cheating on things, or I'd get accused of like just not learning it the right way. And so, and I understand, like I think it's hard for teachers when kids are coming in at the last term, like that's really stressful on them. But I think it was just frustrating because I felt like I was trying to catch up and trying to do better, and my efforts just weren't seen.
Okay. Interesting.
So, yeah.
Very good. So you're a senior.
Yes.
So think back on your time that you've been in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and what activities, like outside of just going to class,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of things did you do in high school?
It's a really good question. I did speech and debate. I started that my junior year, and then I've followed through with that. I just had my last tournament last week, which is very bittersweet. But I loved speech and debate, and I thought it was a little stressful, but it was so fun, and I loved going to the tournaments on the weekends. And other than that, I love hanging out with friends. I love hiking. Every Thursday, I'll drive down to Provo and I'll roller skate. I have some brothers down there, and so we go roller skate and learn new tricks, and so that's kind of where I spend my time.
What about school activities? Did you attend school activities like basketball games, football games, dances? What kind of stuff did you do with extracurricular activities?
Yeah, so I haven't gone to very many basketball games. I don't know why. I guess they're not quite as big of a deal at my school. But I went to most of the football games, and I loved like getting dressed up and like going with my friends. And then same with dances. I went to most dances. Sophomore year, not as many, but I've gone to most dances, whether that's with a date or with friends. And I love those. I think they're so fun. But
well, I'm getting the vibe, tell me if I'm right or wrong, that you have enjoyed high school.
Yeah, I think yes and no. I think you're definitely right. I love the fun parts of high school and the extracurriculars and the friends. But I think that high school is still hard. And I think anybody would probably have a similar answer, that high school is still really hard.
Yeah. So debate. I've never talked to a debate student.
Cool.
So what happens at a debate tournament? Like, just give me the basics of what goes on at a debate tournament.
Absolutely. So I do speech and debate. Some people just do one or the other. But for speech, I do an event called Informative. And so I rate a 10-minute speech about whatever I want, and I have a visual aid with me. And then it's kind of like going up and presenting a PowerPoint, but I just go up and I present my speech, kind of like a TED Talk, and then I get ranked on that. And so last year I did a speech about Pete Davidson, and that was kind of a fun speech. And then this year I did a speech on whether or not we should separate a musician's actions from their like art, which was fun. It was a little bit more like, it was a bit of a more serious topic than my last speech. And then as far as debate goes, I do an event called Public Forum. And so I've also done Congress, but with Public Forum, I am with a partner and they assign you a topic. And then you and your partner write a speech in support of it and a speech in like opposition to it. And then you don't get to decide which one you're going to debate. It's just like you flip a coin and you debate each one. So it's kind of fun, kind of scary, but.
Is it something you think you'll continue doing, or are you done with debate for the rest of your life? And
I thought about it, and I'm not completely opposed to it, but I think I want to take a little bit of a different route, like going forward. But I think that the like skills that I've learned through doing debate will last forever, and I think that it's taught me a lot about like public speaking, and it's taught me a lot about just like how to like hold your ground while still being very kind and respectful.
Great.
So.
So really deep question here.
Mhm.
If you had the power and authority and you could change one thing with how high school is conducted or ran, what one thing would you change about high school?
That's a really good question. I think I would change how early it starts. I cannot wake up that early. It is my fatal flaw. I sleep so late and then I wake up and I'm like, it's 11. How did I miss school? It's 11. So I think I would change how early it starts and just because I remember back in like COVID times, like at least for my school, we started a little later and we still were able to like go over most of the material. So I'm like, I feel like we should just have shorter hours and start later.
Well, we are on the exact same page.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this, but I'm going to run for president of the United States.
Oh, I see.
I'm giving it some serious consideration.
Okay.
And the platforms that I'm going to run on is number one, I'm doing away with daylight savings time. We're going to pick one time and go with it. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's my first thing.
You already have my vote.
Okay. Second thing is there will be no school between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
That's perfect.
We have the perfect bookends of when school should start and when it should finish.
I agree.
So don't have us going between those times. It just does not make sense.
No.
And the third time, there will be no school that starts before 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you have my vote.
Okay.
Yep, on all three of those.
I'm here to declare to the audience that I will be running for president 2028. Okay.
I'm excited
Are you
to see it.
interested in a vice president?
Oh,
spot?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
With your debate skills, we could make big things happen.
Dynamic duo right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you work outside of school? What do you do?
I work at a place called Dutch Bros. It's like it's a coffee and drink shop, and I
Right.
work I've worked there for it'll be a year in June, but I love it there. I've had a couple of different jobs before this one that just haven't quite like stuck. But like with Dutch Bros, I love it. I feel like it's such a good environment, and I love like the whole message of it is just that we're trying to like change people's days, like their day, like one cup of coffee at a time, and so it's so fun, and it's such a like service geared job, and it's my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
This podcast sponsored by Dutch Bros. Hashtag Dutch Bros. Looking for all the help we can get. So, back to high school. Is there too much homework, not enough homework, the right amount of homework?
Ooh, I would say probably too much. That's my opinion. But I don't think we should do away with homework completely. I think it's good, at least for me, to have a refresher of the course that we are the material that we're learning at home. But I would say that sometimes it gets overwhelming when you have 8 classes and each of them have assigned homework and each of them have due dates. And so as like a high school student who also works a job and then who also is trying to manage like friendships and extracurriculars, I think it's
And roller skating.
Of course.
Right.
It's hard to find like that balance and like get everything in. Especially I'm a big procrastinator, so I'll like let it all build up and then do it all at the end of the term. And so I don't think we should do away with it, but I definitely think that it would do students well to like really only assign homework that is like the material that they need to know for like tests and just for life skills.
What about homework here at Catalyst?
Oh, I love the way that we do homework here.
How do you do it here?
So I have such a great teacher. I have Jason as my teacher,
Okay.
and a lot of the homework is just like if you are getting behind, like, and if you have like missed class, then you go back and you catch yourself up. But like I just love the way that Catalyst does homework because I feel like what we're needing to learn, we're learning in class, and it's up to us if we want to like continue to go over that material on our own. All of the resources are provided to us, but it's not like you have to get this in by this day. And I just love the environment of it. I think that it really helps me want to learn instead of feeling like I'm forced to learn.
Yeah. It's a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what time do you usually go to bed?
It's a really funny question. I go to bed usually, it used to be earlier. I used to be a lot better at like having my routine. Now it's sometime between like 12 p.m. and like, or not 12 p.m., 12 a.m. and 2 a.m., somewhere around there, which I feel like is normal for some people.
Is it?
Yeah.
You think it's pretty normal for a high school student?
I feel like when I had morning classes, because now I don't have a full schedule that I'm a senior, but when I had morning classes, I definitely went to bed a little earlier. But now that I don't, I feel like I've gotten into this routine where I'm like, oh, I don't have to be up early. Like, it's fine. I can stay up a little later.
So if I ask you what time you go to bed and I ask you what time you go to sleep, is it the same answer or a big, you go to bed but you're not going to sleep?
Usually I like go to bed around like 12:30 or 1, and then I'll be like scrolling on my phone or like sometimes reading a book until like 1 or 1:30.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of times on the weekend, this isn't when I'm going to bed, it's when I'm waking up. I'll wake up at 7 and I get out of bed at 11:30.
yeah, that happens to me too. Like on Saturdays, I'm like, where did my day go?
You look at your clock and
Yeah.
it's, okay, why am I still in bed and it's noon?
No, literally.
Yeah, but I've been awake since early. So, but it's amazing because I've asked this question to a lot of students, and I'm in bed now, but I'm also old. But I'm in bed. If I'm not in bed by 10, it's a rare thing.
Really?
Yeah, and talking with students, it is a rare thing that any student is in bed at 10.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
I wish I was better at having like a set routine, but that's a problem to tackle later on.
So what time is your earliest class within your this year?
Technically, I have a like advisory period that I'm supposed to be going to that starts at, I want to say 8:45ish.
Okay.
But I have not been going to that as much just because it's like advisory.
Right.
And so I really haven't been getting to school until my earliest starts at like 9:45.
Okay. So let's say that you were going to have 100% attendance to your 8:45 class.
Yeah.
What time would you get up to be there by 8:45?
Probably around 7:15, because I feel like I need like 15 minutes to really pull myself out of bed. And then if I like have to get ready pretty quick, I feel like I usually can. So like I feel like that gives me enough time to be out of the door. If I'm like out of bed by 7:30, then I leave at like 8:30, then I can get there like exactly, or like a few minutes before 8:45.
Okay, so we have a surprise guest today. It's your advisory teacher.
Oh,
and we'd like
awesome.
to welcome them. No, they're not here, but I'm sure they would love to see you this fourth term every day
Yeah.
at 8:45. So one of the questions I had, and we've already covered this, is school. Do you think it starts too early, too late, or right on time? And
Yeah.
we both agree that it's too early.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah.
one of the biggest disappointments I had as a teacher is I started teaching, and then I heard about this thing that we have called Late Start Wednesdays. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. And then I found out Late Start Wednesdays are only for the students. I still have to be here at the same time.
Yeah, I
So-
forget that teachers still come in early on Wednesdays.
We're still here.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the only, and I've talked about this on other podcasts. The other two I've done. That made it sound like my years of podcasting. This is that it's the only thing I would change about being a teacher is if I didn't have to set an alarm and I could just when I woke up naturally and do that. But I'm not going to change that. So is the snooze button your friend or enemy?
Both. I feel like in the moment, I'm like, oh, it's fine. I'll have 10 more minutes. But then, like, those 10 minutes go by, and I fall into a deeper sleep, so I miss my next alarm. And then I wake up, like, 3 hours later. I'm like, oh. I'm like, I thought I was just getting another 15 minutes. But.
So, this is a really hard question.
Okay.
You only have 1 meal left. So they come to you and they say, Elise, this is the last meal that you will ever be eating.
Wow.
What is your meal?
I don't even know how to answer that. I love food.
Okay. So you want
yeah.
food to be part of your last meal?
I mean, probably,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
It was
So let's
a
break
toss-up.
it down. Let's get specific. It can be a restaurant. It can be something that's homemade. But
Okay.
this is the last meal.
I gotta lock in with crepes. I love crepes.
I don't know if I would have guessed crepes would have even
Really?
been in your top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But tell me more about crepes
I don't
and
know.
why they made your last meal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that was such like on nights that we would have crepes for dinner. Growing up, it was a very rare occasion, but it was the best night. Like, you have all the fruit, you have Nutella, you have peanut butter, and then you get to just build your own it's like a dessert but for dinner.
Right.
And so, or I mean, I guess technically they're for breakfast, but we had them for dinner time.
Okay.
And now, since we don't have them as routinely as we used to, a lot of times I'll have crepes as my birthday dinner. So it's kind of become a tradition for me. And I don't know, there's just something about them. They're just so good. I love anything sweet, and they're just sweet and they're perfect.
Well, and with a crepe, it can be sweet or savory.
Exactly.
So
everybody's happy.
You could create an appetizer with crepes, have your main dish as a crepe, and the dessert as a crepe.
Exactly.
So
you get it like a 3-course meal.
I'm gonna give it some thought.
Yeah.
And just so you know, not a single student that I've interviewed has ever asked me what my last meal would be.
Well,
And
what would your last meal be?
Well, it would be a restaurant in Logan called Frederico's.
Okay, I've never been. What does it serve?
Pizza.
Oh, yum.
And they're most famous for their ham and cheese salads.
Yum.
And they don't have a great review on Yelp,
Okay.
but I've been there for 58 years.
Holy.
Because I'm almost 60, and I started going probably when I was 2 with my parents, and that would be my final meal is
All right.
a meal at Frederico's.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of sentimental things
For
going
sure.
on with that. So we got food covered, crepes. What kind of music do you like?
Ooh, I know that everybody kind of has this answer, but I really do love every genre. I just think that there's something to appreciate about every type of music, even if I don't listen to it routinely. But recently I've been getting back into kind of some folk music. I love I've never been quite country, which I know they're of the same family, but
There's some similarities.
yeah, but I love folk. I also love kind of more indie alternative music, and I have 3 older brothers, so I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop and rap, so kind of everything. But
Right.
yeah.
So it's interesting how things change with music, and
For sure.
each semester when I have a new class, I go through and I have the kids answer questions, and one of them is favorite kind of music. And I'm going to say even 3 or 4 years ago, I never heard a single student say anything about folk music.
Really?
And now 30% of the
Yeah.
class, when they say what kind of music they like, it's folk music.
Yeah. I feel like that's changed a lot because there's now a lot of artists that are kind of folk, but also they have some pop in there.
Right.
And so I think it's becoming a lot more mainstream, and there's a lot more larger artists that are just coming out. I don't know if you've heard of Noah Kahn, but he's
heard
gaining
of
a
Noah
lot of
Kahn.
popularity right now. So I think that's probably kind of changing because of these newer artists.
The culinary arts department, which is right across the hall from me, there's a lot of Noah Kahn fans in that. So
Yeah.
I've been exposed to Noah Kahn.
Yeah.
So I've never
Nice.
listened to it on my own, but
That's
I have
okay.
listened to it
Yeah.
from another room.
I love it.
So you love folk. Is there anything you do not like? I cannot stand this kind of music.
See, a year or 2 ago, I would have said country.
Okay.
I just did not grow up listening to country. And again, they're of the same family. But now, I don't know. I think because my dad hated country. And so a lot of, his ideas about it, were similar to mine. But now that I've, gotten a little older and I've had, I just feel like every time I go boating, we listen to country, and like 4th of July comes around and country comes on. So it's like I have a lot more like memories associated with it now, and I think that memories have a lot to do with the type of music that we listen to and enjoy. And so like while I used to say country, I feel like now I'm a little bit more.
Okay. You've expanded
Yeah.
your horizon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said boating.
Boating.
Do you like to boat?
I wish I had a boat. I don't have a boat, but I do love going with friends who have boats. Yeah.
Okay. It's a great.
It's so fun.
The 2 best days. I'm going to steal someone else's joke.
Yeah.
For a boat owner is the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat.
Oh, real.
Those are the 2 best, and I can attest to that because we
Did
had a boat.
Okay.
And I loved it when we got the boat.
Yeah.
And I was very excited when we sold the boat.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's so much upkeep.
There is
Yeah.
a ton of upkeep, and I don't care how well your boat is running. It's almost guaranteed at least 3 times during the summer that it's just going to stop, and then you're flagging people to come tow you into the marina, and that part's not fun. And my wife is still mad at me for selling our boat because she referred to it as her happy place.
Oh.
So.
My parents growing up, my dad always wanted a boat, and then my mom would always respond with, "We are not boat people." So I guess we just aren't boat people.
There really are boat people, and my wife is a boat person. I'm not a boat person. So, most critical question that I'll ask you today: Twizzlers or red vines?
Oh, I'm very opinionated about this.
Okay.
I ask a lot of people this question.
Well, we've had some connections, so I'm a little nervous about what you're going to say here.
Me too.
Okay.
Okay. I feel very strongly Twizzlers.
Oh my word! I'm the exact same.
Oh, good.
I cannot believe that there's even a discussion between Twizzlers and red vines.
No, red vines they taste like tires.
Yeah,
like I just don't.
I agree.
I'm just not a red vines girl.
Okay. Well, this podcast brought to you by Twizzlers. #Twizzlers. A little more serious. Have you ever been bullied?
I have. Yeah.
Is it something you can talk about?
Yeah,
or?
For sure. It was more throughout junior high. And while I don't want to say that I appreciate it, because that's not the right wording to use, I think that it's taught me a lot. And while at first I didn't understand kind of why or how people could be unkind in that way, it's taught me so much compassion, because I look back and I realize that the people who said those hurtful things were really hurting in their home lives, and they had really big things going on that they didn't know how to deal with. And that doesn't ever justify them saying what they said or doing what they did, but it just, I think, creates a lot more understanding of everybody's going through something, and sometimes people don't respond in the ways that they should, but it just helps me, I think, have more compassion. And it also taught me a lot of standing up for myself and how to be kind while standing up for myself. And so I'm not grateful it happened, but I'm grateful that I've grown through it happening.
Okay. So you took something from the experience and turned it into a positive.
Yeah.
So kind of along the same lines, do you feel like you've ever been discriminated against?
I don't think that I have personally, but I have a lot of close friends who I've seen secondhand a lot of discrimination, especially just about kind of their background and either where they come from or the way that they look or their religion or ethnicity. And I think that it's just heartbreaking to see, because it's who they are and where they come from has nothing to do with how amazing they are. Well, I mean, it does have something to do with how amazing they are, but it doesn't make them any less amazing. And so I just think it's heartbreaking to watch that, because everybody deserves the same kindness and respect.
Do you think we're getting better as a society with discrimination?
I think in some ways we're getting better, and I think in other ways we're maybe not getting better. I think that it's really good that there's now a bigger push to include everybody, and and so I think that in some ways we definitely are, but I'd love to see us get to a point where everybody's always welcome, and that our initial reactions aren't ever negative about somebody.
Good words.
Thank you.
So I love deep questions.
Perfect.
Thought-provoking questions.
Yeah.
So I give you the choice, Elise.
Okay.
You can have $10,000 in cash.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't have. Let me just clarify right up front. I do not have $10,000 in cash
Bummer.
for you. But pretend I did have $10,000 in cash that I set on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you can have this $10,000 in cash,
Mm-hmm.
or you can have this parking pass that will allow you to park wherever you want to park for the rest of your life.
That is such a hard question.
Which do you take?
Wow. I mean, I feel like my initial reaction is the 10,000. That's a lot of money. That would help a lot with college. But at the same time, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not the best parker.
Well,
Sometimes I'm pulling into a spot and it's just not going the way that it needs to be going. So I'm like, it would be so nice to just be able to park wherever.
And I mean anywhere, as long as you can get a
anywhere.
car there. It doesn't have to be a parking spot.
Like anywhere.
If you can literally get a car there, you can park there.
That'd be so nice.
And when the police come up to give you a ticket, they see this sign on your car, and it says, "I can park anywhere I want to park," and they just have to walk off.
That would save me so much walking too.
It would be incredible.
And paying for like parking places,
Yeah.
I'm maybe going with the parking pass.
You're going with the parking pass.
If I was a better parker, if I could like parallel park or if I could like back into parking spots, I'd probably take the 10,000.
Or if you like to walk.
Yeah. But I think I got to go with the parking pass.
It's and and this one is interesting because I ask this question a lot. And in high school, most students say they would take the $10,000 in cash.
Really?
And it would probably be a harder decision if I actually had the 10,000 right here.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it and say, okay, you're telling me I can walk away with this $10,000.
Yeah.
So, but when you can't really see the money, you can start to think through things. You can see how valuable the parking pass.
Oh, for sure.
Are you a movie person?
I am. I love movies.
Favorite movie?
That's so tough. I just watched a movie on Netflix. It's called The Society of the Snow.
The Society of the Snow.
I think that's it. It's if it's not that, it's like I'm a word or two off. But
it has the word society in it and snow.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was amazing. It's in Spanish. You can watch it in English. I watched it in Spanish because I did Spanish immersion growing up. So it was really cool to still be able to. It's a cool trait, or not trait, but a cool skill that I'm glad that I learned because now I can watch some Spanish movies. But it was amazing. It was about I don't remember the year, but in I want to say the 70s, there was a group of rugby players in Uruguay, and they were flying to get to their tournament, and for a lot of them it was their first time on this plane, and the plane ended up crashing, and they got stranded in these mountains, in these snowy mountains, and they ended up surviving for 2 months out there. Not all of them, but a lot of them survived for 2 months. It was really, really good.
So it's based on a true story. And so the movie you said is done in Spanish. So with me, I would just go into Netflix and change it to English and be able to listen to it because I'm not a great reader, so the subtitles thing. So I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it was really good.
So it has society and snow in the
Yes.
title. Well, that's got to be a pretty narrow group of movies that have that.
You'll find it.
So you said Spanish immersion.
Yes, yeah.
How many years were you in that?
I did that from kindergarten until 8th or 9th grade.
Really?
Yeah. And it was, in the moment, I hated it. I hated, because in elementary school, my days were split. So half of my subjects were learned in English, and then half of them were learned in Spanish. And so there's still, some science words that, I can explain the water cycle in Spanish, but probably not in English very well, just because I learned it in Spanish. But, I'm really grateful that my parents put me in that, because I've lost a lot of my grammar now that I am not in practice, but I feel like I can carry on conversations pretty well with people, and so I'm really grateful I did it.
So at your peak, so in the 8th or 9th grade, Did you consider yourself to be fluent in Spanish?
I would say I was mostly fluent. Yeah. Like I feel like in 7th or 8th grade, if I would have gone to like somewhere Spanish speaking, I would like be able to like understand things and communicate with people pretty well. And in fact, when I was little, I would meet like people from I'd have a lot of like people whose like Spanish was their first language, and a lot of them would ask me like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I'm from Utah." They'd be like, "Oh, I would have guessed Spain. Like you just speak so well." And now I'm like not there at all. Like my Spanish is not where it used to be, but it was.
Which is sad.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's reality, and language fascinates me, and
Yeah.
I have a number of students that are absolutely fluent in Spanish and English. And so they come to school and they're 100% English, but when they're at home, it's 100% Spanish.
Yeah.
And the question that I ask them is, do you dream in English or Spanish? And they sit and they think, oh my gosh, I've never thought about it, but I dream in Spanish. And then I'll say, well, what do you think in? Are you thinking in English or Spanish? And because at some point, you probably move from thinking in one language to another language when you get really fluent.
Yeah.
And so, did you ever get to the point where you were speaking and dreaming in Spanish?
I didn't have frequent dreams in Spanish, but I've definitely woken up a few times, and I'm like, whoa, that was in Spanish. Like, what in the world? Like, it doesn't happen often, but I feel like while I, like, don't remember a lot of the Spanish words, like, my, like, subconscious still has them all there somewhere. And so sometimes those dreams come out of nowhere.
Yeah. So you mentioned college. Do you have plans to go to college? You know exactly what you're going to do when you graduate, or?
Yeah, so I'm going to Utah Valley University.
Nice.
Which I'm super, super stoked for.
Did you know it's the largest college in the state of Utah?
Is it? I actually didn't know that.
From an enrollment standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, my grandpa used to be like the dean of admissions there.
Nice.
So we're very.
Is that how you got in, or is it because of your stellar grades?
No, I would say no. I don't know.
It's good to know people. I'll just
it
say
is.
that. Yeah.
But he's awesome. He's been retired for a while now, but he hasn't like forced us any of us to go to Utah Valley, but like it's definitely been encouraged. Yeah. And I've also always wanted to go there, so it's been good. But I'm not sure what I'm gonna major in yet. Well, that's kind of my next step.
Well, you're young and you've got a lot of time to decide.
Yeah.
So I encouraged all of my children to go to Utah State. And my two daughters both went to Utah State.
Cool.
And my son is now a senior at the University of Utah, and it's been a hard thing for me.
A hardship for sure. Yeah.
It is.
Something to overcome.
That's what he's doing. So we're almost out of time, but I did want to leave with one last question that is very interesting to me, and that's what this is all about. Is interesting to me.
For sure.
So if you could have lunch with one person,
okay.
It doesn't have to be your last meal, but you can pick anyone. They can be alive or dead. I mean, if they're dead, they'll be alive for the
Yeah.
Okay. So you can have lunch with any one person, living or dead. Who do you have lunch with?
That's
it's a tough
difficult.
one.
Yeah.
And we can edit this. Like if you take 10 minutes to come up with a decision, we'll just cut that 10 minutes out.
Okay, I see.
So I don't want to rush
I have time.
you.
Yeah. Do you have an answer for this?
I do.
Okay.
But I promise you've never heard of the person that I would say.
That's okay.
His name is Geddy Lee.
Oh.
He's the lead singer for the rock group Rush.
Oh, cool. So very nice.
Or was that going to be your answer?
Yeah.
Gosh, what are the chances? We both love Twizzlers, and we both would have lunch with Geddy Lee.
That final answer. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't know. That's a really difficult question. I feel because there's so many people. I don't know.
Well, you can't leave until you provide an answer.
Of course.
Not to put pressure on you, but that is.
I'm gonna go with a classic teenage girl response, and I'm gonna say Heath Ledger.
Wow.
I know.
That's a good answer.
Thank you. I love. Have you seen the movie 10 Things I Hate About You? I love.
What
that
my
movie.
wife forced me
Yes.
to go.
But did you like it? Deep down, I know you did.
It,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I love that movie. I've seen it so many times. And then also, he does amazing as the Joker.
Oh.
He does such a good job.
One of the in my opinion, one of the greatest acting performances in the history of film.
Yeah. Anyway, I'd love to talk to him first of all to talk about all of his accomplishments. And then also he's my celebrity crush, so
Nice.
Might as well, you know?
Well, I don't know if you watched Freezer Friday. Have you ever seen?
I haven't.
Okay, important question. Do you follow the Davis Catalyst Instagram page?
I don't.
Okay, so do you promise me that when we leave here that you will go and follow
Absolutely.
our Instagram? We're at 1,004 followers right now.
Oh.
You could be the 1,005th follower.
I could make that difference. Yeah.
And once you have followed the Instagram page, then you can go to our posts and you can find these posts that are called Freezer Friday.
Okay.
And we take students into the freezer in the kitchen and they conduct an interview.
Very nice.
And the reason I'm telling you all this is I brought to life my celebrity crush during my Freezer Friday interview.
Oh, who was it?
Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, that's fair. That's a good person to,
Okay. Well, hey, this has been fun.
Yes, it has.
And I feel like I know you really well now. Yeah. And I found a new friend. And, you know, for someone that doesn't have a lot of friends, it means a lot. So,
well, anyway, thank you.
Any final thing you want to say or ask, or should we just say goodbye?
I'm just honored I was able to be on this podcast.
You should be honored.
Yes.
It's for a podcast as big as this one's going to get.
Oh, for sure.
To be the third person.
Third.
I mean, that's
the first one on video.
Yeah. First one on video.
Exactly.
So I think with that, that's going to be a wrap.
Awesome.
And we'll see you around school.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah.